And welcome to the Social Justice Forum. I am your host, Daren Jaime, and we're thanking you for joining us. Now, if you ask the question, what is the show all about? We bring you a forum discussing and providing deeper understanding of the issues and inequities that so many communities face, things such as systemic inequality to pressing social problems. Our guests provide multiple insights, perspectives, and help us to better understand and address these challenges. So, we invite you to stay connected to us as the Social Justice Forum starts right now. And we are back. Advancement Project is a civil rights organization that's dedicated to realizing America's vision of an empathetic, inclusive, and equitable democracy. Through their Opportunity to Learn program, they empower grassroots movements to scrutinize, uncover, and reform policies contributing to the criminalization of students and resist the privatization of public education. Here now to tell us more is the Deputy Director of Opportunity to Learn at the Advancement Project's National Office, Tyler Whittenberg. And Tyler, thank you so much for being with us, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I know that you guys are engaged in some heavy work. And for those who may be not so familiar, walk us a little bit more through the Advancement Project.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, we're a civil rights organization that's for about 25 years have been fighting to uplift and empower communities of color throughout the United States, particularly focusing on certain issues like voting rights, policing in general, and then, of course, the Opportunity to Learn program focuses on ending the school to prison pipeline and ensuring a public education, a quality public education for all students.
And when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, we'll talk there first. Obviously, education is at the forefront of what you are tackling. We look at so many of our young people right now, and the system is broken. And when we talk about the system being broken, I know some of the things that you do is really highlight and bring awareness to what needs some fixes. So as you look at the school to prison pipeline, give me your perspective.
I mean, it's in a dire state. I think, sadly, we have, just as many students being funneled into our youth punishment system and our adult punishment system as we've ever had. And so when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, we're talking about really a set of practices and policies that make it so that students are more likely to go to jail or do not detention by going to school and staying at home. We're talking about systemic underinvestment. We're talking about really not nurturing students, not providing them with the space where they can be vulnerable. And then when they are vulnerable and maybe they do the same things we expect of them as adolescents, we're meeting them with the hand of the law and with detention and not with caring hands of support. And one of the major issues we've been working to address recently is really the issue of school policing. We know that police in schools and the practice of policing students is the primary driver of the school to prison pipeline, forcing students from the classroom into the youth and then adult justice system simply for existing, for trying to learn, and in some cases maybe for honestly making a mistake. And so what we want to do is help grassroots partners create a liberatory education system where students are lifted up, where they are supported, where they have the opportunity to grow with each other and with supporting adults, and where they are not seen as criminals, as threats, as someone who is likely to commit a quote unquote crime, but as someone who is simply existing and in need of our care.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, you took matters into your own hands. You actually formed what was called Action Camp. And that is a program that's really designed to really addressing this particular need. Talk to us about Action Camp and how that came about in the journey.
Sure. So we've always supported, as I mentioned, these grassroots organizations that throughout the United States that are working with youth of color to lift up their demands. And one of the major roles Advancement Project plays is bringing all these organizations together so that they can learn from each other, so they can develop skills. For one, identify the skills they need to reach the demands of their youth, and then to actually learn those skills together, to even look at the data, look at the policies, and look at the trends that are going on, not just locally, but also nationally, so that they can all be better prepared to really end the school to prison pipeline within their districts.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And we partner, real quick, we partner with the organization called Alliance for Educational Justice, which have about over 40 grassroots organizations within it. And so we're able to collaborate with them to bring these groups together. We do this about once a year, looking at 100 to 150 youth all coming together to learn.
Yeah. What about student interaction with police? Obviously, when you have that type of situation that is in the school system, uh, it kind of ties the officer's hand in some ways, and before you know it, what could be just a regular occurrence at school has now turned into something criminal.
Absolutely. And especially with Black youth. We have a recent report out, the assault at Spring Valley, where we look at the instances of violence against uh, uh, students of color in particular, at the hands of police officers. And we find that in the 372 instances of police violence against students, that over 85% of those students are Black. We find that roughly 30% are Black girls, and that of all the harm done to students at the hands of school police and school security guards, that even sexual assault is occurring. It's the third highest assault that happens amongst these students. And what it really shows is that not only are students at risk of being arrested and entering the system for age appropriate behavior, they're also at risk of their physical safety when they are in spaces with police officers. So what we advocate for and what the students are calling for is not just the removal of police from schools, but actually a end of that pathology of policing students, and really greater investments in things that we know support students and that are preventative in the first place, and that help the students enter a school with a positive school climate, not where they're seen as a threat. And really, they really militarize schools, and so we're trying to fight back against that as well.
I want to speak a little bit about the awareness and the public awareness, bringing people to the place of civic engagement on this matter. What's been the history for you and the work that you're doing there? Are you finding the public more and more and the communities more and more speaking out and really taking heart to these particular issues?
Absolutely. I think policing is a hyper local issue, and so is education often. And um, when Black parents and Black students raise concerns about police in their schools and call for greater investments, they're really ignored. While a group of white parents can raise a stink about a course, and then that course may be removed from the school. So the same issues of racism that exist in our communities around policing also exist in our schools around policing, and it's also reflected at the electoral level with school boards. So a lot of our work really tries to uh, give these organizations and the youth the capacity to confront the school board and really force them to make the right decision.
So, as we look right now, we understand that there is a problem with the school to prison pipeline. We know that that's real. When we look and we talk about trying to form advocacy and really addressing some of these things and things that people need to be paying attention to. Let's look at that for a second, because I want to look at some of the things that we do really need to be paying attention to in this school to prison pipeline. What can the public join in on to have a voice to help in this fight?
Well, so we have there's a national campaign for police-free schools. I encourage people to visit www.policefreeschools.org. On that site, not only will you see a lot of resources and even a map of these instances of violence that I mentioned, you're also able to learn about the history of school policing and why it's really harmful to our community. But also on that website is a long list of organizations, local organizations that are fighting to really empower youth of color. And I would implore folks to go take a look at that. If these organizations, if you live in these areas, I would encourage you to get involved. And of course, we want to put the students at the forefront. So anytime I'm speaking to adults or folks ask what can they do, it's always really to listen to the youth, to provide spaces for them to talk amongst themselves, for them to organize with one another, and strategize with one another, and then we have to listen to them after they actually make those demands. So um, that's yeah, a key part of it is plugging into where you are locally and then listening to the youth.
Yeah, let me get your perspective on this because many times we see the nation being run by a lot of people in youth. When I look at Washington, Capitol Hill, we talk about you got the old heads, the OGs, if you will, but the reality is there is that young adult population that really is infiltrating a lot of staff and helping with a lot of policy and advocacy. Talk to us about the power of getting youth involved early because as we see in national civic engagement, that many times it's the youth that are leading the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is always the youth we should look to. Um, but when certain instances happen locally, as adults, we can kind of take this fear-based perspective and think, okay, well, what can we do to make sure they're safe? The truth is, youth will tell you what they need to feel safe in any given moment, and it's just up to us to then provide that and to really give some power to their words and to their demands. So at every level of government, I encourage folks to engage with you and even give them some decision making authority. And so at the federal level, as you mentioned, far removed from the classroom, I think they have the ability to limit the use of funding. So just really encourage them to listen to what youth needs and really limit the ability of school districts to use some of the federal dollars to fund policing, to fund social media monitoring, to fund metal detectors and other things. I think this kind of fear-based mentality that a lot of adults bring can really be negated, and should be negated and overcome by the voices of the youth and the demands that they're making at the local level.
So I know you got the 6D strategy, and if you
That's
could
right.
talk a little bit about the 6Ds, break that
Absolutely.
down for us.
Absolutely. So, the National Campaign for Police-Free Schools, we came together and brought all the youth together to think about what are the strategies that they are using to try to end the school to prison pipeline in their localities. In the 60s is a result of that, and much appreciation to the organizers, Jonathan Stith and Maria Fernandez, for putting that together as well. But the first D would be to decriminalize the school building. Youth are youth, students are students. They should not be treated as doing something criminal when they are simply doing age appropriate behavior, and they are all in need of our support. So one, we want to decriminalize the school building. Two, we want to deprioritize the use of police altogether. Um, Oftentimes teachers will call a police officer to the classroom for something that is purely an issue of school management. And so we want to make sure that we have all the resources available, including restorative justice and transformative justice models, to take care of those things. We also want to delegitimize this idea that policing actually makes schools safer. Research, time and time again, shows that policing actually creates a toxic learning environment that adds to a certain level of distrust amongst youth and adults. And the research also shows that there are many things we could do really at the base level that will help create safer environments, and we're just not doing that. We also want to demilitarize the school building. After some of these shootings, folks will say, well, the only way to stop that would be to have, not just an armed officer there, but also we need metal detectors at the front. We need cameras everywhere. We need surveillance everywhere to monitor the students. What this does is actually 100% take away from the learning environment and really make schools appear more like prisons. And that's exactly what we're trying to get away from. So we want to demilitarize the school building. We want students to feel safe and nurtured and really, really blossom in an area without the fear, the constant fear that's driven through criminalization of youth and the militarization of the school building. How many D's is that there? Do we Oh, we also want to fully dismantle.
Mm-hmm.
We want to fully dismantle the connection between education and criminalization. So we want right now there is a major intersection between criminalization and education. There's collaboration between school districts and law enforcement that make it so that students are even being put through things called a threat assessment. They're not looked at for what they need. They're looked at for the level of threat that they are. And a part of that comes from this law enforcement type view, law enforcement type approach to how we support youth. So we also need to completely just dismantle the connection between the justice system and the education system so that we can have a liberatory education system that we're demanding. And also, finally, when students step up and they actually achieve a demand, we need to really defend the students. We need to actually stand up for them and defend them against a lot of these right-wing attacks. They're coming for their curriculum, they're coming for their educational spaces, they're coming for any sense of expression and identity. And so we need to also defend students and support them in all the ways. And also these 6 Ds can be found at the website again, policefreeschools.org, and encourage you all to take a look.
I want to get your thought about cultural competence when it comes to law enforcement. There seems to be that lack of, even when you talk about those who may be your skin may not be your kin, right? There's this lack of cultural competence that really is plaguing many departments that plays out, in essence, in the lives of young people.
Yeah, so I think for us, it's not really a matter. It's not a matter of like how officers should be trained before they enter the school. It's really that they shouldn't be there at all. And I think the cultural competency piece, it not only extends to those who interact with youth in a law enforcement capacity, it also extends to the teachers in the classroom, to the administrators, and even to that school board level. I think we need to put people in places, put people that are in a position of protecting our Black youth. We need those people to understand our Black youth, and it's simple as that. And so there's this kind of there's a myth rather that Black parents aren't engaged or they don't show up as much, and it's just not true. They're often not given the opportunities to show up, and then when they do show up, they're not listened to. So a part of that cultural competency piece is really fully engaging the community, the family members, and making a school that's also a safe space for them. Because when we militarize a school building and when we have all the security on the outside and the police on the inside, it's also a deterrent to parents and the family members to interact with their child within the school building. And so we really need to change that around, engage the community more, work with the community more, and involve our youth with people that understand their perspective.
Tyler, how do people get in touch with the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. Again, www.policefreeschools.org. There's a contact link there. You can reach out to us if there's any issues around school policing. Maybe you want some more information about the work we're up to. Feel free to reach out. And yes, and it's been a pleasure.
Tyler Whittenberg, been a great time talking to you, brother. Make sure you take care of yourself and have a happy holiday.
Likewise.
All righty. Taking a quick break. Be back with more right after this.
Congratulations, BronxNet, on 30 years. You started when I was born. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is Verona, the dancing reporter for Create Your World, and I thank BronxNet for being here to help me produce my show.
Hello, my name is Tyrone Lowe. I host a show at BronxNet called The Legends, where I bring real legends, DJs, upcoming artists, actually people from the past that's into entertainment. I want to thank BronxNet. First of all, I want to thank for the 30 years of them actually being active here. It has opened a lot of doors for me to the point where I'm branching off to have my own network. Fulfill your dreams here. That's all I have to say.
And welcome back to the show. OurtBox Cafe is a unique establishment that goes beyond serving coffee and pastries. It's actually a community hub with a mission. The cafe creates an inclusive and diverse space for both locals and visitors. And here now is the owner of OurtBox Cafe, Lydia. And Lydia, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And a wonderful establishment that you have. And talk to us a little bit about, first of all, introduce us to OurtBox.
Well, OurtBox Cafe is a community cafe located in the heart of Harlem, the only Black woman-owned coffee cafe in Harlem, New York City. That's really it.
And when we talk about owning a coffee cafe right there in the heart of Harlem, for yourself, why did you choose to go with coffee?
I am really a baker by trade. I was raised in the Bronx by my mom and my grandmother, and I just chose coffee because I remember getting up for work daily. I needed my cup of coffee to start my day. Coffee was my fuel. So I fell in love with coffee long ago.
And so for yourself, you know, you're in Harlem and your cafe is located, nestled right in there. How does the correlation go between your business and the Harlem community? Talk to us a little bit about the connection there.
Okay, OurtBox Cafe is a community cafe. The name derived from the word "our," because it's just like our. I wanted it to be a safe space for the community, a community hub where people can just come, get to know one another, and bring back the neighborhood, bring back the love and community of New York City as a whole, but being that I'm located in Harlem as well.
And here you are located in Harlem, and Harlem is actually coming out to your cafe. You've got a lot of events that go on. Talk about the different type of events that we can find at the cafe.
Well, not only people from Harlem come by, we have people from all over the world because we are also a tourist attraction. Some of the events that I am most proud of, things that I do in a normal, is we have a free food Harlem event where we invite the homeless community inside to get pastries and coffee, to reunite with their family members. And we also have connected with some rehabilitation facilities that come by on that day and ask people if they do want to, go to any addiction counseling, and then they go there. We also have entrepreneur mixers where we allow entrepreneurs from the community to get to know one another. My goal is for entrepreneurs and regular everyday people to come together and use one another to scale. See who's in your community that can assist you with one of your goals or some of your goals, or who can shed light on anything that you're trying to do. So community is key, and that's what we're just trying to stay focused on.
So for yourself that's out there putting this, cafe front and center for the community, people have the opportunity to take part in events. People have the opportunity to get coffee, just hang out. What is it ultimately that you'd like to see people take away from having the experience at OurtBox Cafe?
Well, besides coming by and trying my delicious coffee and some of my baked goods that you see back there, which is like my pies, my cake, banana pudding, and muffins, I just want them to come into OurtBox Cafe and just feel like they're at home. When you come into OurtBox Cafe, you feel like you're at a cookout, you're at a family reunion, from friends to strangers to neighbors. You just feel like this is home because OurtBox Cafe is a community safe space and a community safe haven.
When we talk about a cafe, every cafe has a specialty something. For you, somebody comes in, what's the specialty drink? What's the specialty food?
We have our imported Peruvian roast coffee that people drink and they love. We also have some loose leaf teas with health benefit, if you see behind me. And also, it's a tie. It's a tie between the chocolate cake brownie loaf and the banana pudding. Those are the two things I would recommend.
Yeah, and it's got to be the staple. Everybody has a staple that's in their business. Whether it's coffee, whether it's food, and you gave us a couple of them. What do people talk about the most, though, from your perspective?
The banana pudding is winning right now. The banana pudding, I'm telling you, between the banana pudding and the chocolate cake, it is a tie. When people come in to purchase the coffee, of course, they can't leave without getting both. They're like, I can't choose. And now I'm like, I'm the owner and I think that everything is good. And based off of the customer reviews, it's a tie. So I would say, come and get both.
Come and get both. I like it. I like it. What message do you have for the community? Obviously, as a business, Harlem has seen its great share of changes, but yet and still, you've been able to navigate those changes. Now you've got a brick and mortar right there in Harlem. What message do you have to the community about Harlem itself and, the small businesses?
Well, what I can say is I actually was born in the Bronx and I was raised in Harlem. So when I came back to open a brick and mortar in Harlem, it was about the representation of, Black and brown small business owners coming together and being able to say, we did it, being able to say, yes, we have. I grew up in in the NYCHA development in New York City inside of Harlem, and this was just once a dream of mine. So as I own this business, I want other small business owners or entrepreneurs or dreamers that I call to understand and to know you can too. That's my message to everyone. You can too.
So for yourself right now, you look at your business and you say what in terms of what does the future hold? Do we see expansion? Do we see more brick and mortars? What do we see?
We see some franchising. That is the goal. The first thing I say is thank you, God. Thank you, God, for providing me this opportunity. Thank you for choosing me. We also at OurtBox Cafe, we also have a backyard space that is a mental wellness space. We allow people from the community to just come in and sit in the backyard and just reset because I feel like that is needed. And I just feel like after this and the franchises, we may go into mental wellness, offering some mental wellness things, supports, and just being in different communities as a minority Black woman-owned business.
Right. As a female entrepreneur in Harlem, obviously you've had your share of challenges. Talk to me about the message that you'd like to send to particularly females who are thinking about, and a minority entrepreneur at that, a female minority entrepreneur. Talk to me about that journey for you, first of all, before I get you to send the message to other people who may be thinking about this.
What I would say is it is not easy, but it can be done. You will face challenges daily. Keep going. I feel like if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So as small business owners, women, I'm also a mother. I'm also a survivor of a terminal renal disease. And I would just say, just keep going. Set your goals, write down your goals, and just stay on track with what you have planned. As you are in business, there will be people that come in and they will be trying to give you ideas and tell you just basically how to drive your ship. And I just feel like you should just stay true to your mission and your mission statement.
Yeah, I think that's very important because when you talk about people coming in, everybody's got an idea, but you're the visionary. So for yourself, really staying true to self is important, right?
Yes, stay true to yourself and to your dream.
For yourself, obviously, you're participating in this series of restaurant crawls, and it talks about a more inclusive food future. So what about these initiatives in today's society?
I also want to introduce healthy food options. Like on our menu, we have avocado toast. We have a baked salmon salad. We also have like a baked tuna salad. And I feel like with these initiatives, it's also the sweets, of course. We offer vegan options, and as well as, like I said, the healthy food options for the community. And that is very important. A lot of people in these communities have limited healthy food options. And for those reasons, they may have some, different responses as far as like their dietary needs. So with me offering pastries as well as healthy food options, it's just an even mix.
For yourself, what has been the greatest learning curve in all of this right here? Talk about offering pastries and different food options and stuff like that, but that comes after, what I call that learning curve.
Change. That is one of the biggest things that I've learned. I've learned to accept change. And that is me being in this community. That is with me interacting with people daily. That is with me learning every day. Right now, we're in a space where a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. So it is challenging to find employees. As a single person operation, I would just say change. The world is constantly changing, and just keeping up with those changes and being able to not only offer products and services, but be able to offer opportunity as a business owner.
Yeah, making the change. You had several changes and actually, life experiences as an entrepreneur that you had to really navigate through. You want to talk a little bit for a moment about how you were able to actually just navigate through those and at the same time be able to bring the business to where it is today?
Of course. I think that a lot of things that I've learned and was able to put to use as a business owner came from my experience as a United States Postal Service letter carrier. With the amount of discipline that you need as far as rising task standards, I was able to implement all of those things into my business. Being a business owner, I'm responsible to whether or not I show up. So showing up daily is like one of the most important things. A lot of people feel like once you get a business, you're able to just do anything that you want to do because you're a business owner. And actually, as a business owner, you're working 10 times harder than someone that chooses whether or not they want to go and clock in, because you have to choose to show up every day. So that is the very first and most important thing. After that is allowing people to just gravitate to your space, offering something. My personality, those type of things just keep people coming back.
Let's walk people through the address and how they can get there.
Well, we are located at 2144 Fifth Avenue in Harlem. That's between 131st and 132nd Street. We are blocked from the 2 and 3 train to the 135th Street stop, or the 4, 5, and 6 train to the 125th Street stop. I look forward to seeing all of you guys come by. Thank you in advance for your support.
Yeah, and Lydia, before we go, what's been the biggest highlight for you since being this entrepreneur?
Spreading love, honestly. Spreading love. Opening up this cafe, I never even thought of the type of response that I would get from the community. So I have so many people come in and they just want to undress. They just want to drop a load off. So they come, grab a cup of coffee or grab some tea and just sit down and they're able to relax. Seeing people that are able to, they may have been neighbors for years. When they come here, it's like, this is their meeting space. And that's why people are calling this a community safe space. A gem, a hidden gem in Harlem.
And when we talk about a safe space, you got to know that's where it is, 2144 Fifth Avenue, and that's where you can find the OurtBox Cafe and Lydia. Oh, we didn't give out hours. Let's, for somebody may know the hours, the hours of operation.
Yes, we are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 o'clock, and Saturday to Sunday from 9 to 4.
All right, and so people out there, make sure you get a chance, check Lydia out. Lydia, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on the Social Justice Show, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, and for all of the dreamers out there, keep dreaming. If your dreams are big and people are telling you you're crazy, that means you're on the right track, because you are not only willing to do something that people feel is unheard of or that can't be done. Once you do it, they'll be applauding you.
God, wise advice there. Lydia, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more show right after this.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kat from the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, also from The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray every week right here at BronxNet, Saturdays at 11 p.m. Wow, 30 years. 30 years of BronxNet public access television. I'm a girl from Brooklyn and came to the Bronx 25 years ago, started my journey on BronxNet on public access television in 2016. And BronxNet is where I got my start. BronxNet, I feel like, is a home away from home. They support all of my endeavors, and I wouldn't have been able to be on any of the other channels if it wasn't for the fundamentals that I learned right here at my start here at BronxNet. So I am so appreciative. My son says I should stop telling people I'm from Brooklyn because I've been here now, Bronx strong, for 22 years. So I'm so grateful, and I wish you much success in 30 years, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30 more, because public access is necessary so that people like myself can have a voice. Yes, BronxNet. It's your girl Kat from Kitty Rose. Check me out every Saturday at 11 p.m. right here, Channel 68, The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. Mwah.
I remember when the Bronx did not really have a media outlet properly representing the people of the Bronx.
BronxNet provides for the community by being a community where people can be empowered to share their voices.
We are in a really great place technologically. We've got all the resources that we need to be effective.
Whether it's through cameras, storytelling, editing, we have provided those services for 30 years.
BronxNet's mission is to be a voice for the community.
To educate, to inform, and to inspire.
And you can be a part of it. We've built studios for you.
And we are back. Our next guest is someone who's not only excelled in the world of sports, he's also becoming a driving force for positive change in his community. He founded the Minority Millennials, which is an organization dedicated to empowering young people of color by providing access to jobs, wealth-building opportunities, and civic engagement. Here now joining us is the founding partner and vice president of community engagement of Minority Millennials, Andrew Ayodeji, right?
Ayodeji.
Ayodeji. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to get an opportunity to just share with you because we talk about basketball in a minute, but really your passion is community and empowering millennials. And why do you feel like millennials are the go-to demographic?
Because I feel like millennials is the bridge right now between like the Gen Zs and the baby boomers. So I just think it's really, essential for the millennials to kind of stand. We here in abundance. We really standing with the most numbers right now. We kind of affected the most. We kind of seen both generations, so we could kind of, give I feel like the most balanced point of view.
And when we talk about this balanced point of view, I want to talk about issues because you're presenting issues from your point of view. And really, you're trying to write that balance out because you feel as though that there's several areas where people really need to be paying attention to really bring balance. And so what are some of those areas that you're working with millennials to really raise your voice and address?
More so, I try to use myself as the model, man. We focus on things like housing. I'm 35 years old. The housing crisis is crazy out here. It's $2,800 for a one-bedroom apartment. So I kind of try to frontline that. I'm vulnerable enough to put my struggles on the forefront just to show people I'm someone that runs a few businesses, but it's still hard for me. Really bridging the gap with policy and culture, letting people in my community know the significance of politics, of how important that is to have a relationship with the local politicians in your neighborhood. Even furthermore, getting involved with politics, actually getting your name on the ballot and running, and really understanding what it is, really understanding the power of the vote. We hear that a lot of the times, get out and vote, but nobody really explains to us, how to exercise our rights civically. So I just think that's important. It's very important to educate our community and young people on that so we could take a different approach moving forward.
And when we talk about the community, I want to give our viewers some context here. You're out in Amityville, Amityville, New York. And so for people who aren't so familiar, tell us about how you view particularly the climate, the culture right now in Amityville.
I'm in Amityville, Long Island, New York, North Amityville to be exact. It's a burgeoning demographic right now. It's a lot of entrepreneurs trying to shake up the scene. It's a lot of people really getting engaged on the political side right now. I see from a positive point of view. And I don't want to tap myself on the back of my organization, but we've really been doing it really been our mission to really hit the grassroots of people that usually don't get this message. So the climate out there is still a lot of people uninformed, but it's still people eager to learn. It's a large demographic of people that's eager to learn.
And for yourself, obviously, you've got a basketball league that's actually out there, and the aim is to really deal with gun violence. Talk to me about it.
I founded the basketball league in 2017. That's the Boulder-Mac Park Summer League. And that was just really, I didn't even know it was really the decreased violence. I was a basketball guy. I went to college and played basketball. I played basketball in high school. So it was just something for really for us to do in the community and really, engage on a basketball tip. And once I began that, I seen the impact that I was having more so on a cultural and a community level. Then we took it a step further and tapped in with like the police, because the precinct seen that it was like a drop in crime during the time that we was doing our tournament. So we kind of gauged that and really based our proof of progress on that, tracking that through the summer months. And we just stayed engaged with the student athletes. From the summer league, we created a student athlete incubator called the MAC Academy. That's an acronym for Making Athletes Career Knowledgeable. So it's like a one-stop shop where kids could come get the athletic training, but also come get civic engagement from, like my civic association, Minority Millennials. They'll get financial literacy help. They'll get mental health evaluations. They'll get academic help with hands-on tutors. They'll know exactly the core credits that they need to qualify to receive an NCAA scholarship. So just really being a resource and providing information to the young student athletes and kind of being that roadmap for them to kind of pivot through these times.
And for yourself, obviously, you make community development a passion. In addition to the work that you're doing, basketball league. Congratulations! I understand you got a location coming in the clothing line.
Oh yeah, we had a clothing line. We've been doing the clothes for about like 5 years now. We opened up our flagship clothing store back in 2019, like right after the pandemic started. That worked out pretty well. We got the MAC clothing line. We've been pushing that for some time now. We got sweatsuits, shorts, t-shirts. It's a real big thing here. Like everybody in Long Island is kind of tapped into it. So it's been pretty good. We've been blessed to get some traction.
So for yourself, obviously looking at the lay of the land right there in Amityville, trying to make things better. The message. Sometimes the worry is the message really resonating amongst the community? Am I getting through? From your perspective, how do you feel you're making? Are you getting through?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely getting through. Also, I'm seeing like when you test the status quo, the people that try to like put the blocks there in the community. So me personally, I feel like I got tough skin and I seen the roadblocks that was like placed in my way. That's why I feel like I was like chosen. I feel like God really put me in this position to, break through and really change the narrative for young Black men and just young people in my community anyway. I know a lot of other people would give up with the roadblocks that was placed in my way, just starting the summer league as far as getting permits, as far as dealing with the parks people with the lights and different things like that. It really, really took a lot of patience and perseverance. So I'm just blessed to be in this position. And like I said, I'm like leading the forefront. I'm taking those hits of all my stuff, like being frontline and letting these guys see the losses that I'm taking, letting these guys see the turmoil and the triumphs that I got to go through to get these things done, so they see that it's possible and they can kind of walk in that light gracefully without having to go through like the hardships that I went through.
Talk about hardships. The community has definitely had its own share of hardships. You talk about paying rent, $2,800 a month. That's no easy feat at all. And when we look
for a studio apartment. Yeah, it's rough.
I can't even get there. Talk to me about minority populations. Obviously, right there in the neighborhood, underfunded. I mean, what are you seeing?
It's absolutely underfunded, but that's where we get civically engaged at, and we could kind of like determine the outcome of our communities. It's youth centers that's vacant in our communities. The communities that need them the most is youth centers that's vacant. It's buildings and a lot of economic development happening right in front of our faces, and we really have no clue of what's going on. So it's just really like I said, it's time for the community to be aware. It's time for them to be informed, and it's going to take more people like myself that's actually coming from the grassroots, that's actually coming from these neighborhoods to come back with the information and make our community privy so we know exactly what's going on.
So when we talk about young people, millennials, we know that right now that they feel like sometimes they're the overlooked. We talk about communities of color in the inner cities. You'll hear a majority of people talk about being overlooked. What do we do to get to a place where not only millennials, but those who are in communities of color can really turn the narrative because no lie, there is being overlooked, but not just being overlooked, but really underserved.
Underlooked and underserved is like an understatement, man. And I really feel like it starts with us. If you pay attention to a lot of these low income communities, these struggling communities, it's people that are in place in the community that's usually from the community. And unfortunately, a lot of those times they don't really have our best interests at heart as a community as whole. It's usually something that they're benefiting from selfishly. So it's just really time for the communities to wake up, man. We doing this to ourselves. The community has to wake up. The community has to have community pride. The community got to want to know who's in these positions that's making these things happen in our neighborhood. We even got to know who's there. It's like you could go around these neighborhoods and ask, who's your local councilman, who's your local town supervisor, and we don't really know. So that's why our job is to come and kind of educate the people and inform them with these tools so we could kind of go to battle at that point. Once they inform with the tools and we could go to battle, they understand what the school board election does, understand that these local community institutions could provide jobs for the community. I think it'll be more of a understanding wholly, but we don't really understand. We never really tapped in civically. So I think that's why we stagnated as a whole in these communities.
Can you tell me a little bit about when we talk about community? Where does the gap? Where's that gap that you see that needs to be filled? Is it more in the area of jobs? Is it more in the area of the economy? Is it more in the area of gun violence? What's the major gap that needs to be filled right now in Amityville?
Just like the political connection. I feel like it's not really so much of a bridge to the community that really needs the help. I feel like we try to ignore the fact that our community has issues and try to focus on the good. I really feel like, again, like I said, the community really has to like check themselves. They really have to like understand like we're stagnated right now. Understand that it's a lot of like room on the table for us. A lot of room on the table because our vote counts. It's like we're unaccounted for. They're not even taking us into consideration because we don't come out to vote. We don't really get involved in our community to even know what's going on. So, like I said, it starts with us, man. It starts with us.
For businesses that are out there right now and they're trying to really look at improving the community, you've got some real traction here. You've got an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people, and you've done that. But if I'm a business out there in Amityville, how can I play a part in helping to change the narrative and really improve and make some community revitalization here?
It's a saying that I run with. Community pride starts with us, man. Just donating to local causes, man. Getting in contact with local IDAs to provide different funding and grant opportunities so business could have the flexibility to tap in and give back to the community. Because times is really hard right now. Times is hard, man. A lot of businesses are shutting down. Going into what we going into 2024. So it's rough, man. I just think having a common goal that they can identify with to see what they're investing into. And that's a big thing that we do at Boulder Mac Park. Like they see that 8 weeks over the summertime. They see when we have those camps out there and clinics and skills and drills, things for the kids. So it's really visible, man. And really being being someone that you could kind of honor your word a little bit too, like because there's a lot of trust issues in our community, as we know. So when you say that you're doing something, that's just what it got to be. They can expect Boulder Mac Park every year, just like they can expect Christmas.
And so when we talk about diversity and inclusion, how do you approach that?
Everybody got to kind of have an open mind of that, man, because this times is just changing and stuff, and you can kind of see that with Boulder Mac Park. I know you guys out there in the city, we out here on Long Island, but it's like a melting pot. You'll see just a mixture of everything kind of, and everything in there kind of operating, all drawn to the game of basketball. At the same time, we got culturally things going on in there, different foods, different vendors coming into play. So it's just a different mixture of people. It's just a different mixture of people. And I don't think diversity and inclusion is gonna really be so much of a problem with the Gen Z generation and younger, because they're already like accustomed just to, operating around different races, operating around different genders or preferred sexualities, so on and so forth.
So for yourself, obviously, you've done a lot in the community and really tried to rally the troops around you. What advice do you give to people who are in the community in terms of becoming active and becoming woke? Because there's so much that's on the table that can really transcend the neighborhood, but there is a need for some more woke people in order for this to take place.
My thing is, together we stand, divided we fall, man. The more we come together, the more it could be. Like it's enough Indians, man. We need more troops, man. We need people that's really gonna pound the pavement, not really trying to come in and just automatically jump into a leadership position, and that be the problem with a lot of the times. It'd be a lot of backbiting, we cutting each other short. So just really together, just standing tall, the more the merrier, I feel like.
The more the merrier. For people who want to get in touch with you, what do they do?
They can follow me on my Instagram at Ayodeji. You can follow us at my Instagram for Minority Millennials on there, Minority Millennials Inc. You can follow me on Facebook, Ayodeji. You can catch us on Facebook as well, Minority Millennials Inc. You can follow the basketball, Boulder Mac Park on Instagram. You can check out the website, www.bouldermacbasketball.com. And we got a lot of things coming. We got a banquet coming up this year. The Mac is Back banquet. We're going to be honoring some community people there. We're going to have some good keynote speakers. We're going to give a few scholarships away. We got our We Are the Future Summit coming May 31st. That's our second annual. We did that last year at Hofstra University, where we had over 1,500 kids. We tapped into some schools out there in the city. We had Eagle Academy come. We had Earn Your Leisure come and speak about financial literacy. We're doing that this year again at Nassau Coliseum. So we're going to expect a bigger turnout than that. We gearing up for year 8 of Boulder Mac Park. That's going to be one of the biggest things in New York. We got a saying, they say, Brooklyn got Gersh, Queens got Lincoln, Uptown got Dykeman, Harlem got Rucker, but Long Island got the Mac. So just stay on the lookout for that. It's going to be a real big summer. We looking forward to that. Anything else with Minority Millennials, anybody want to get civically engaged, get in touch with the movement, like I said, you can tap us in on Instagram, Minority Millennials Inc.
What advice do you give young people right now about being woke and involved? Obviously, you got a good handle on it. I mean, 35, looking at, multiple business ventures, but not only business ventures, but there are also a lot of community-based and community-grounded things. What message do you have for young people that you share about your journey and about their level of required involvement?
What I can share on my journey is just really stand on your truths, man, and be you. I think that's why I'm like really being able to maneuver, because I'm just me. I try to be transparent, especially in these situations where we're speaking about community, because in the Black community with so many people that came before me that tricked us, that promised our community these things, that frontlined and just went on for like personal selfish hidden agendas. So it's just really being transparent with your community, transparent with your constituents, and really standing on your truth, man. I feel like a lot of the young people could relate, because like I said, the struggles that I go through is the same struggles that you going through. The same fights that you was fighting for to get a job. I had to do the same thing. The same struggles that you went through to start your business, I had to go through the same thing. The same financial hits that you had to go through, I went through the same thing and still going through that. So I just try to be a walking testimony in that and really frontline, just to show the people like, yo, this is the way, especially our young Black men, man. A lot of our young Black men get caught up so much in the the finer things in life, and sometimes cut themselves short trying to achieve those. And I try to tell them just to sacrifice, really sacrifice the time. You sacrifice your time, put a business plan together. It might not work over time. It might not work in 5 years. It might not work in 10 years, but that 11th year, it might work. And you got the freedom of kind of living the way that you want to live. You can take care of your family. You don't got to look over your shoulder. You don't got to worry about going to jail. So that's just the message, man. Like, write it down and follow it through.
And what about life after basketball? Because obviously you've turned it and positioned yourself in such a way that you've created life outside of basketball. I know what it's like playing the game and then having to give it up. After you give up the game, it's like a lot of questions as to where do I go from here? But you've been able to transcend. Let's talk about life after basketball. What do you tell somebody about that?
Yo, that's a great question. I'm really glad that you answered. You asked me that because I see a lot of basketball players just lost, man. And I can relate to that, but I was kind of able to pivot early. I was able to pivot early. I feel like basketball players and student athletes in general, preferably more basketball players, are kind of sheltered from the community, from their parents. You going to school on a scholarship, you eating on a meal plan. You never really got to worry about kind of managing money. Your peoples are sending you money when you need it. Then when you kind of get home into the real world, you kind of like walking into, whoa, I wasn't really expecting this. Whoa, I gotta pay for my food now. Like, I gotta like actually save up to get a car. Like, I actually gotta pay rent. I actually gotta I just can't spend my money on what I want to spend my money on. So just really teaching them how to pivot. That's a big thing with the MAC Academy. Like I said, that's an acronym for making athletes career knowledgeable. The main point that I tell the kids is you live a lot longer than you play basketball. This basketball is gonna stop bouncing. So you got to be able to continue to keep it rolling after this basketball thing is over. There's a lot of jobs around basketball that doesn't necessarily involve playing. We have a partnership with the NBA G League team, Long Island Nets. They right out here. They operate out of Nassau Coliseum. And we tap in with them regularly just to bring kids, just to see the business side, just to see the operation. My guy, Wade Richards, he's from the community here, and he has a position over there with the Long Island Nets. He opens the doors to us. So it's just a lot of positions that you could be outside of an actual physical basketball player. You could be a coach, you could be a GM, you could be a camera guy, you could be a pregame guy that's getting a pregame thing set up. And these is all careers. So we try to really bring the student athletes in to let them see that, to where it's like you could look forward to something like after basketball and have a very, very lucrative career.
Yeah, there's life afterwards. And certainly we want people to take advantage of the fact that you play the game, get the most out of it, but then after the game is over, get what is also there for you as well, which is, a lot of opportunity. And for yourself, you've been a person that's been able to really maximize that opportunity. So thank you so much for being with us. And, certainly, Andrew, we want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you again. Website is minoritymillennials.org. And then, of course, social media, Minority Millennials, and Instagram, Bolden Mac Park. And Andrew, thanks again for being with us, my brother.
Nah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. Great show. You have a blessed one.
All righty. Thank you, brother. All right. Well, we come to the end of our show today. Hope you enjoyed this week's discussion on the Bronx Social Justice and Anti-Violence Forum. If you're rewatching this week's episode, guess what? You catch Recablecast right here on BronxNet.org. You want to join the conversation and present your point of view? Visit our social media at BronxNet TV. And join us. We'll be back next week elevating the discussion, bringing further awareness about those things across the globe. I'm your host, Daren Jaime. Take care.